So, as we find ourselves defenseless in the Tachibana household, I can only hope that we don't run into anything too dangerous. But I do sense something strange in this room. Yep, behind this box here there's a hidden away item. Another spirit orb. And also we find some more herbal medicine. But we can't stay in this room forever. We have to go find our sister Mayu. Hopefully she's somewhere nearby.
I kept waiting and waiting.
But instead we get the ghostly counterpart of our sister Mayu in the form of Sai here. If she does happen to catch us, she will kill us in one hit, and as we saw in that previous cutscene, even if we did have the camera, we'd have no means of really fighting her. The good news is that there are some pretty clear tells when she is nearby. That's when the monochromatic tone will overset the screen. Whenever we see normal coloring, that means that we are A-OK and we don't have to worry about her choking us to death.
Mayu. You won't leave me alone again, right?
Also, though we are in a brand new area, it's not really possible for you to get lost as of right now. The game pretty much railroads you directly where it wants you to go. Which is probably for the best, considering we don't want to run around this house for too much longer without our Camera Obscura.
Come on, Mio. Open the door.
Well, I'm not gonna fall for that trick. Sadly, though, it seems we have come to a dead end. But if we search around the room a bit more, we'll actually find over here in the corner that there is a closet. And wouldn't you know it, there's not too much in here but the item we need. Also, our attention is brought up to this doll here, but we don't have time for dolls. We need to go get our camera.
Why did you leave me back then?
So you want to be super careful when leaving this room because there is a pretty nasty ambush waiting for you as you leave. Now, while Sai only has that particular attack and can be very difficult to dodge at times, was another close one for Mio. It almost seemed like her slight sound was going to get her into another situation like what we saw with the mourners earlier. But even though we do have a monochromatic covering still, we are safe for the moment. Thing is that we do find ourselves in front of another locked door, though it seems this one might actually be a way of getting out of the house. Maybe this nearby stand will be the unlocking mechanism. We see a familiar doll. Possibly this was constructed by the house or the doll maker from the Kiryu residence. But we do happen to know where that missing doll is. It just requires a little bit of backtracking to that closet.
Mayu? Is that you?
And I'm still not gonna fall for that.
Why didn't you come back? I kept waiting.
And much like the first time we left this little closet, guess who's waiting for us? The exact same attack we just dodged before.
Dear sister.
But we did get a hint about this puzzle earlier. It's pretty much the exact same one we used to enter the passageway for Earth. This time, though, the dolls do change in a minorly different fashion, but really not too difficult. You don't want to screw up too much, though, as Sai will start to catch up with you.
Don't go. Stay with me.
And even after solving the puzzle, she will catch up with you, so we'll just go ahead and leave and not have to deal with her any longer. Yeah, for some reason or another, she is pretty much confined to the Tachibana household, and only for that little bit, so we won't be seeing her for quite some time, though I don't feel that will be the last time we'll see her. All we have to do is make our way back to the Earth passageway, and hope to God that our camera is still waiting for us down there. So don't go exploring too far into the Kiryu household. There are a few new ghosts waiting to ambush your poor defenseless self. And I think that blue glowing thing is going to be our camera. Nothing standing in our way. Oddly enough, that makes you think that that might be a vanishing ghost, but as far as I know, there doesn't seem to be any way to capture that ghost, and it's not on the ghost list. But more importantly, we do have back our camera and flashlight, so we are now no longer defenseless. And that means we can now relatively safely explore the Tachibana household. Before we do that, though, there is one hidden away ghost down here in the Earth passageway, amongst all this rubble and rock here. See another poor tortured face. So, we've already seen a few places we can go in the Tachibana household, but you may have noticed right when we exit here that there was a door being guarded by a spirit. So I think that will be the first place we'll head. And through this now unlocked door, we'll find ourselves in a seemingly very familiar room. Yeah, we find yet another projector with a brand new film. There are going to be quite a few similarities between the Tachibana and Kiryu household as we go through, almost as if the houses were set up as twins themselves. But there will be a few noticeable differences as we progress through. Namely, in the form of this well with its many ghostly outstretching arms. Yeah, this ghost will only appear on New Game Plus. And that's also the reason that we are seeing this lovely new outfit. I figure since we have maxed out all the basic features of the camera, might as well go ahead and just start showing off the outfits here and there. Also, we can't leave that door just yet, though that will lead us outside, but we do find another film reel hidden away here. Before we look at that, though, I figure we might as well go ahead and explore upstairs. And in this crate, we do find a hidden away stash of film type 14 film. But there is a good reason to head over into this area before you continue exploring the Tachibana household, as the item on the desk there is an extremely important upgrade. Yeah, we find a brand new power lens. The Zero power-up lens is the direct upgrade from the blast lens. It will still do the blast back effect, but in addition to that, it will do additional damage. The only real difference is that it will take an additional spirit orb. And you know what? We've seen enough of the blast orb, so I went ahead and equipped the Zero lens. We also find a brand new set of diaries over here in the bookshelf. Now, it may not seem immediately evident, but this is actually from Manakata, just talking about his journey into the village and trying to, well, get in touch with his friends, Itsuki and Mitsuki. We're actually in their house right now, so we might be able to find out a little bit more about what happened to them. But that's all we needed to do on this end of the house for right now. And I figure while we are heading back, we may as well watch that film we just picked up. Not sure if it's meant to be coincidental that that film of the woman in the box was found in a box itself, but I still really question if someone was actually filming these, or if, much like the camera itself, they managed to, well, capture the spirit of the ghost and keep it forever entrapped in celluloid. But our next destination, we see that the camera is, well, reacting to this door here. So we might as well go inside and see what's waiting for us. Hear that odd bell sound yet again. More importantly, see an incredibly odd motif for the room. Seems very ritualistic. Also, we find a nude diary. I think we have seen the color crimson before, obviously with the butterflies, but also on someone's kimono that we took a picture of earlier. But all we could really get from that was that whoever the diary was owned by was supposed to be giving a key to, I'm assuming, Manakata, and didn't. Also, we can find a hidden ghost over here behind this kimono. And then we see what looks like Itsuki, but with brown hair. I am a bit curious what was supposed to have gone on here. Maybe this is supposed to be the counterpart for the twins' room for the Kiryu house. It seems to be in relatively the same spot, though it doesn't seem like a place that someone lived and slept in. Also, we find a mummified figure here, which gives us a hidden ghost. With the incredibly cryptic title of Cleanser. Yet another ghost you can only get on New Game Plus. In addition to that, you may notice that there is a glowy object in the drawers here. And it is another stone mirror. Hopefully, though, we won't be having to use one, so we'll just keep that in mind for later. And yet again, we do find another door locked by a spirit. I suppose it's just the game's way of reinforcing the fact that you really do need to make sure you get that camera before you start exploring. But we might as well go ahead and pick up this very obvious item here. It's more herbal medicine. And in the little desk here, we can find a hidden piece of documentation. Another entry from Manakata. Seems that, well, it could be that that crimson diary was from Itsuki's younger sister. Seems that she might have a key. I can only assume that since they are bringing it up, that it must be something important. Also find ourselves in a very similar looking stairway. Thankfully, the fallen woman will not be making another appearance in here. Instead, we find a nice little thing of sacred water.
Itsuki. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That kind of sounded like Mayu. And wouldn't you know it, it is her. Or maybe it isn't. Either way, it is questionable how she managed to get trapped again. I guess this is the key we're gonna have to look for.
Get me back my brother.
And as fate would have it, we see just who might have that key. Also, before you leave here, you don't want to take a quick picture of Mayu as she's crying. Adds another entry into the spirit list. But before we go chasing after the boy twin's sister, there is a little creepy Easter egg, in case you were looking around and investigating in this little closet here. No, there isn't really anything to investigate in here. Just some odd crying, and the door's locked. Oh, maybe I missed something. Yeah, I don't think I missed anything in here. Let's go. Let's just leave. So now we can continue on with our journey after the Tachibana sister. Now, much like the puppet motif from the Kiryu house, the overall motif for the Tachibana house is going to be bells. It seems that the younger sister had something of poor eyesight, and to help alleviate this and to hopefully make it easier to find her, the brother, Itsuki, gave their younger sister a bell to keep track of where she was. And that's going to be our tell, to be able to tell that she's nearby. Also, over here we do find a hidden away item. But it seems like the younger sister might be relatively nearby. Looks like there are some little closets down here under the tatami. And say hello to Chitosi. She is the younger sibling of the Tachibana twins. And while we did play a little game of tag before, now we're going to be playing hide and seek. Really though, she isn't too terribly difficult, and instead just tends to cry a lot and hide inside of walls. And drive us into darkness. Yeah, this can be an especially dangerous attack to deal with, mostly due to the fact that we have a very limited line of sight, and she will try to attack us, and we just hear bells all around us. Now, you can knock her out of that attack, but that requires being able to see her in the first place. And being in such tight corridors, it's pretty much a guessing game where she might be. Especially in this darkness, she does tend to just run around a lot. would say it's like she's playing a game with us, but it's a very dangerous game. But in the end, though, it's not too terribly difficult to catch her in her fatal frames. And more or less, that is going to be what we're going to have to do for the Tachibana household. Yeah, much like the Kiryu household, where we had to find the ghostly apparitions of the younger daughters. In this case, we are going to have to find Chitosi throughout the household. And we are going to have to fight her every time we run into her, so I'd figured, well, maybe the Type 14 wasn't cutting it, so we might as well upgrade to the Type 61, at least for a little while. Also, even though we have been through this area before, being chased by Sai, there are a few items we couldn't pick up prior, such as this Type 90 film. And through this second room here, there are a few hidden documents. Just more of the writings from Manakata, as he makes his journey into the village to try to find his missing friends. For some reason, though, the villagers chose to tell the folklorist and Manakata that both of the boys had died, when, in the end, only one of them had died, and maybe it was just the village's attempts to keep the ritual secret. It might be kind of hard to explain to outsiders why you need to have twins strangle each other to turn into butterflies. But there is an item waiting newly in here in the closet. And it's another spirit orb. Now, normally I would be upgrading the Zero lens, but, well, since we are using New Game Plus, just pretend like I already did and that I don't have a metric shit ton of points. And in this final room here, there are a few hidden away items, such as in the drawer here, we find some very rare Type 0 film. And we knew that we could hide in the closet before, and maybe something's waiting for us. Yeah, as was mentioned before, Chitosi tends to hide a lot, and to find her, we're gonna have to find the different closets that she's hiding out in. This time around, though, I don't want to deal with that darkness attack, so we will be seeing the Zero lens in effect. Really, though, like I mentioned before, it's nothing visually different. It just does probably about an extra 30 to 40 more damage than the blast lens did. And by upgrading it, all you do is increase the damage that it does, so really not missing too much. But overall, that is an entirely optional fight. There's nothing in the closet, and I highly warn you, do not go back out that door because it will lock behind you, and you'll have to backtrack all the way into the Tachibana house. This is more of a little optional side area to get a few more items. And for right now, it's just going to be up to us to explore the rest of the house and try to keep our ears open for any tinkling of bells. Now, it does seem like Chitosi is trying to lead us further down this hallway. And before I follow her fully, there is a side room over here that's worth exploring for a few more items. You just have to realize that they are hidden, otherwise you'll miss out on some Type 61 film. What was that? I guess it was nothing. Here on the table we do find another diary entry from Chitosi. Here she wonders just what happened to her other brother. I guess they never filled her in on the ritual itself, and the only thing she seems to know is that one of her brothers is now missing and the other is completely blonde. Yeah, even though it's never really gone too in-depth what actually happens for the quote-unquote remaining twin, it does seem to cause different effects for different people, such as in the Kiryu twin, it caused her to just go completely black-haired, and for Itsuki, it caused him his hair to go completely white. Also, we did hear another bell, and we do have another closet. Overall, though, they really do paint Chitosi as very sympathetic to feel towards. I mean, she's obviously in a lot of pain and having to deal with a lot of stress, even though we don't get the full picture just yet. And her attack really isn't so much as an attack as it seems like she's trying to hug us. Still, though, don't let that lull you into a false sense of security. The attack does hurt a lot if it happens to get you. Still, though, we are almost done chasing her. Might as well go ahead and explore this very large entryway here, in case we might be missing out on any items, or, well, more importantly, there might be another way out of here. Sadly, it is not a way out, and instead is an incredibly dangerous ambush. As far as I know, though, this is required to cause Chitosi to appear at the final location, but in comparison to any run-ins we have with Chitosi, this is a lot more dangerous. Now, the villagers themselves are pretty much what we have fought before. The problem is that this location is not a good place at all to be fighting them. They really are easily able to flank you, and you just have very little area to maneuver. I mean, the Type 61 film does help, but, well, they are still very difficult to actually fatal frame, and about the best you can hope for is maybe to hit 2 or 3 of them at the same time, or to maybe get a zero shot, but usually trying to do that will get you hit by at least 1 or 2 other hits, so you really don't have too many choices here, and using the zero shot just does not help all that much. About the best you can hope for is just wearing them down. because obviously dealing with 2 ghosts is a bit more easier than dealing with 3. Also, don't rest on your laurels and assume that these guys will not do a tremendous amount of damage to you. Especially if they do happen to start juggling you, you will be running into a lot of hurt. It's just a matter of wearing down the pole bearer, while he in turn wears us down as well. I guess it is, in all reality, a very nice thing that this game is still so generous with its healing items. And speaking of being generous with the healing items, after our battle there is a little hidden stash of herbal medicine here to refill us on what we just used. But other than that, well, there's nothing else left to do in here. And now we just have to find the final hiding spot for Chitosi. And the good news is it's not too terribly far away. I will say that overall the Tachibana household and its little quest is a lot more streamlined than what we saw in the Kiryu household. Yeah, I told you it wasn't that far away. It was right down the hall. And I get the feeling that she is going to be in this closet. Or maybe not. Could have sworn I heard a bell. Seems I was right. Yeah, this is going to be our final confrontation with Chitosi. She doesn't really get any new abilities here. She might happen to do her darkness spell a bit more, but otherwise she's the exact same that we fought at least 3 or 4 other times now. Just, I guess, a bit of a breather after having to deal with the terror of those twins. I guess her attack pattern can be a bit perplexing the first time you fight her. If anything, though, I will say that she is, if anything, at least a new and interesting variant on the ghost.
Get me back my brother.
And after finishing her off, our reward is the key to the cell where Mayu is being kept. In addition to that, we get our first and only radio crystal for this update. So, we might as well go ahead and give that a listen.
Somebody, help me. Help me. I'm scared. It's okay.
too badly towards Chitose. I mean, well, she was just a child, and the malice and the darkness that overtook this town also in turn overtook her, and just turned that fear of darkness, the fear of abandonment, and the loss of her brother into something very twisted and evil. Likewise, she also felt kind of a sense of hatred towards Yai and Sai for taking away her brother. And in turn, she turned that anger and malice towards us. Can only hope, though, with this key in hand, we can now safely get out of the village with our sister. Or not. Jesus. I mean, was Mayu even really in there? Or was she just another illusion? Or where could she have gone? I don't know, maybe this item on the ground here will shed some light on it. No, it's just Manakata telling Itsuki that wherever he might be, that he's going to try to get Yai and Sai both out of the village before the ritual occurs. Obviously, that only turned out halfway correct. And before we pick up that item on the desk, there's another hidden away document here. And this is from Itsuki, talking about the upcoming ritual and how he would like to get out of the town with his brother, but instead he's going to try to use their sacrifice as some means for Yai and Sai to not have to die. In the end, though, we know that clearly didn't work out. Instead, Itsuki did have something of a backup plan, in the fact that he did find out that there was a hidden passageway under the Kurahai Shrine that had previously been locked up after a cave-in. And you know what? That gives me a good idea. Maybe that is a good way to get out of the village. It does mention that we will need a number of pinwheels from the 4 Veiled Priest families, and wouldn't you know it, we get our first one right now, along with a radio stone. So we are one step closer to just getting out of the village.
Through here, we can get out of the village. Mayu? I don't know what's happening to me. But no matter what happens, I'll forgive you. Mayu. Don't leave me. Of course I won't leave you behind. I kept looking for you. Now let's get out of here. The ritual. It's beginning. Hurry! We need to get to the old tree.
So, finally reunited with our sister and a means to get out of the village. I think we have a fighting chance now. But we also did pick up a radio stone. Figure we might as well go ahead and listen to that very quickly. Just have to figure out which fluorite it was.
I don't want to be alone. Together. So, Yai, please. Kill me.
Just more motivational words from Sai. But I think that is a good place to call it a video. Hopefully you'll join me next time as we hopefully make our way out of the village finally.